Hello, my friends. This is Dr. Ginny Barrow. Let's have a cup of coffee together, or tea if you don't drink coffee. So pause this video, go grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and let's have this chat. I want to bring up to you 3 topics that I believe are connected, and they have to do with how you grow your career and how you grow your value within your organization. And we know that our compensation is tightly correlated to the value the company perceives we bring to it. And so the more value you bring to the organization, the higher your compensation will be. I bring this up not because that's the only reason why you work. I have to imagine that is one of the main reasons why we work, because we want to provide for our loved ones, for ourselves, and to have the best life that we possibly can, given our resources. And so under that theory that this is why we're working, because we want to provide and that we want to make the most out of the time that we are working, it behooves us to dive into how can we continue to increase our value so that our perceived value for the organization keeps going higher. My son Kyle is currently taking macroeconomics, so he's learning about supply and demand. We know on a economics 101, then supply and demand work this way. Those of you who know it, please don't pay attention. I have a point to make here, which is when you have a skill set that is in high demand and low supply, the price will be high. When that skill set is in high supply, low demand, the price, what you get paid for that, is going to be very low. So our goal as we looking to advance our career is to continually increase our demand and to lower the supply, meaning that what we know is so unique or is one of the unique things that we will get paid a high wage to do that. And so look at your career, look at what you do professionally, look at your expertise. The way that I'm going to recommend that you continue to increase your value is this way. Number 1, believe in the value you bring. I know that for many of us, especially us women, it sometimes takes a lot for us to claim our expertise. So one of the things I do when I speak with my audiences and we are talking about this topic is I ask them to share with me, what is your expertise? So in your mind or in the comments, leave me a comment and tell me, what is your expertise? When people come to you, what is it that they come to you for? That's going to guide you toward what is your expertise. Now, what happens is because our expertise many times is a superpower, we don't give it the value that it has. If we are very analytical, we believe that everybody else is analytical. So when someone comes to us to get our advice about something because they want our analytical mind to help them, we don't value that because we think everybody else is analytical. So when you claim your expertise and you own it, you can state without cringing, I am an expert at. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't learn anything else about that topic. But an expert is somebody who has good knowledge of a topic, who can look at it from different angles, who can have an intelligent discussion with someone about it, and who can actually teach the topic that they are the expert at. And so you are an expert at something. Let's get very clear on what that is and begin to own it and claim it. You can say, I'm an expert at blank, or I specialize in blank. That's another nice way to say it. If you feel like I'm an expert, sounds like it's too much. But at the end of the day, I am recommending that you own it. That's point number 1. Point number 2, and I already alluded to this, is you need to keep learning. And when I say you don't need to do anything I say, right? But my recommendation is that if you want to increase your value, your perceived value and market value for your organization, that you keep learning. Make learning something that you do all the time. And you may say, Ginny, it's too much. It's exhausting. I don't have time to learn. I go to work. I do my job. I come home. I take care of my responsibilities. I can't do anything else. And if that's where you're at, I'm throwing you compassion, love, care. I get it. And I want you to think what will happen to you if over the years you don't keep learning about your field. I'm in technology. I was in technology for over 25 years. It is the kind of field, just like many other in financial services, that if you don't keep up with what is happening, you will fall way behind in the technology, in the concepts that are being discussed, what's happening in the economy, in the markets. They're changing daily. And so if you're not keeping up your skill set by learning what is happening through podcasts, YouTubes, reading, Wall Street Journal, whatever the source may be, you're going to be left behind. So how do we bake it into our everyday? We bake it in by making it part of the workday. So whether it's the beginning of the day, like many of my colleagues at my previous firm, which was a wealth management firm, used to do, you catch up with what's happening at the beginning of the day, so you have a sense of what is going on around me. And then you do it at the end of the day to see what just happened, right? And so by staying in touch and making learning part of your working day, it is not a separate task you have to add to your to-do list. So that's number two. And number three, to add the most value, to stay in a positive state, to show up in your best, and to increase your confidence, your self-worth, and remove the self-doubt, stop comparing yourself to other people. This happened to me when I began my business, when I was writing my first book, Fearless Women at Work, which, by the way, is celebrating its 5th-year anniversary. When I started and I was writing my first book, I remember comparing myself to the other authors that I admire in the marketplace and feeling like I was falling short because no Sherlock, you know what I just said there. Of course, I was going to fall short. I didn't have the resources that they have. I didn't have the experience that they have. They've had a very different trajectory in their careers than I have. And so to be able to write my first little book, which was 100 or 200 and 185 pages, I want to say, I had to stay in my lane. I had to focus on what I was going to share with the world. In this case, I had to put my blinders on to stay focused on what was meaningful for me to share with you and to put everything else to the side. Likewise, if you're at work and you work for a company where there are, hopefully, there are a lot of smart people. If you keep comparing yourself to the people next to you, and use it as a way to put yourself down and make yourself smaller versus someone you role model or you admire and you learn from, then you're going to be in this space of, I'm not good enough. And how many of us deep, 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 deep down don't go for those opportunities, for those promotions, because down deep, we may not feel good enough, or maybe that we're not up to snuff to do this type of work. And so if you compare yourself, you're going to keep finding always someone who's smarter than you, younger than you, better looking than you, more experienced than you, whatever the more than blank is. Always. And so let's stop. Let's acknowledge where you are today. Acknowledge your journey, how far you've come. Acknowledge the person you've become. You used to be this way in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, and now you're this way in your 50s. And as long as you see progress, as long as you've seen how you've evolved over the years into the person that you are, that's what matters. And by the way, if you look in the mirror and you're not so proud of the person you've become, that's okay too. No regrets. We've done the best that we can with the resources that we have. We can only move forward. So if you're not so proud of the person you are today, the leader you are today, this is the perfect time to take a look, go inward and say, What are the qualities that I would like to bring into my life so that I can have a more fulfilling and more joyful and more connected life with the people around me, so that I could be of more value to my team, to my organization. And even if you've had issues with performance around your way of being and behaving, that is okay. As long as you have the courage, and I really mean this, it takes so much courage to look at yourself in the mirror. And I was talking to my friend about this last night, and acknowledge that you haven't been at your best. And that's okay. We're not perfect, and we're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming for progress. So I hope that this video has brought to light for you the value of believing in your value. And if you don't feel valued at work, I'm going to first recommend that you look at how you're valuing yourself and your expertise. Number two, that you keep learning and deepening and strengthening your database and including more information relevant to your field into your sphere of knowledge, and baking in your learning into your work so that it is part of it versus something else you have to do on the side. And lastly, don't compare yourself to others. In this case, it is an excellent recommendation to stay in your lane. Compete with yourself yesterday. And as long as you're better today than you were yesterday, that is all that matters. And don't forget to look for support. If you need support, if you need someone to help you overcome the challenges, whatever you now realize that you are in the state of doing or being that you want to shift, look for support. My friend Rebecca says, you can give yourself a good haircut. And I love that saying, because even though I'm a coach, I can coach myself. I'm very self-aware, but there are still things that I say and do that my coach calls me out on. Yes, I have a coach. I have multiple coaches, actually. And so if you need support, don't hesitate. Have the courage to reach out. You can always connect with me at callwithginny.com. And if you want to be part of our community where I share weekly valuable strategies to help you skyrocket your career, to increase your sense of belonging, self-worth, and value, you can join us at executivebound.com. Have a wonderful week. Live with purpose. Live with joy.